Conversation with the Candidate continues.
Welcome back to Conversation with the Candidate and tonight's guest, entrepreneur Andrew Yang. We're going to move to the town hall portion of our format now, and I'll jump in with some follow-up questions if necessary, but we want the voters to ask the questions here, and we're going to begin with Nancy Lessard. Nancy.
Mr. Yang, in light of the divisiveness in Washington, how do you plan to work more cooperatively across the aisle and restore some civility to government? And please give us some practical examples.
Well, the first thing is, as a serial entrepreneur, I've built both a national nonprofit and a company that became #1 in the country. And so it's all about building teams. You have to get people together and you have to figure out what we can agree on and what we can get done. So I'm very, very bipartisan and non-ideological. I'm deeply practical. And if there are good ideas from across the aisle that we can integrate into our policy, then that's where we're going to go. And people who've dealt with me know this, where already I'm getting many independents and conservatives and Republicans excited about my platform because I'm about just solving problems and getting the job done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Our next question is from Keenan Pauley.
Thank you both. Mr. Yang, what are your parameters for using executive orders?
Well, I think unfortunately the use of executive orders has risen in part because Congress has become dysfunctional and the two branches haven't been able to agree on things. So one thing I've already said I'd do is I would push the authorization for military action back to Congress where it belongs in the Constitution. I don't think the president should be making those sorts of unilateral actions. And executive orders generally, the hope is that you can get Congress galvanized and able to agree on legislation because that's a much, much better way to go than the president simply implementing executive orders.
Thank you, Keenan. And now Ron Janowitz.
Hello, Mr. Yang. Do you support the Green New Deal as a solution to climate change and economic inequality? And if successful, wouldn't the jobs created minimize the need for a universal basic income?
So I'm a big fan of the Green New Deal in terms of its vision. We need to start addressing climate change in a meaningful way. It's an existential threat. I'm a parent. I have 2 young children. I do not want to leave them a shambles of a climate and a planet to grow up in. So the Green New Deal, big fan. I do think that the infrastructure jobs that be created are going to be immense and vital and important. But the two phenomena you're describing are somewhat unrelated, where even if we create new infrastructure jobs, if artificial intelligence replaces call center workers and retail workers and truck drivers, there'll still be needs on both sides.
And Andrew, I'll follow up on this one if you don't mind. You talk a lot about automation,
Yes.
essentially robots. How do you get past, some people, you hear that and you kind of chuckle, oh, is that for real?
The robot guy,
yeah,
the Asian robot guy, I know.
Well, how do you get past the sort of the sci-fi aspect of this where people, there's a level of disbelief?
Well, what I tell people is, look, it's not like robots are going to start marching down the streets of Manchester anytime soon. But stores are closing around the state, and the stores are closing because of Amazon. And if you go to the Amazon fulfillment center, then you'll see robots wall to wall. So you have to understand how the economy fits together. It's the same thing with truck drivers and call center workers and the rest of it. It's not like a robot will walk in and start picking up the phone. But what's going to happen is software is going to reach a point where it can fulfill a customer service function in a way that's indistinguishable from a human being in the next several years. And that's going to be very, very bad for many, many workers.
And how do you keep artificial intelligence in bounds, I guess, from achieving ill-gotten ends?
So artificial general intelligence is years, maybe decades away. So that's a science fiction. I can think like a human. What AI is right now is it's going to be very, very sophisticated at accomplishing certain tasks and incredibly limited and stupid at everything else. So if you think about picking up a customer service call, you can have thousands of interactions and phrases at the ready and not be able to do anything else. And that's really where AI is going to be for the next number of years. It's going to do a number on many, many workers, but it's not going to be able to, for example, do things anywhere that would be in the science fiction zone, like taking over our society or any of that stuff.
All right, we'll keep that on the horizon. Tracy Ann Tolan now.
Let's see. Good day. And what improvements could you make at the border for border security to prevent undocumented immigrants from crossing, as well as illegal cargo on trucks and ships?
Yeah, so you said trucks and ships, and that's right. What we have to do is we have to do the things we know we need to do better, which is secure our ports, have adequate staffing and personnel at the border. The wall is not a solution. If you look at the actual configuration of the border, there are a lot of places where building a wall would be completely impractical, and all you're going to do is channel resources to other parts of the border. So I looked into this. I looked into whether there was some technological solution one could implement, and there is not. What we have to do is we have to adequately staff and secure the border and put more resources to work so that there's no silver bullet where the southern border is concerned.
Sorry, Joan, I got your name wrong there. Joan Krimlisk. And the social media question is from Tracy Antolin. This one came to us via Facebook. Does your proposal to give everyone in America $1,000 a month do away with welfare assistance, no food stamps, no Medicare? That way everyone is on a level playing field.
Well, we have about 126 welfare programs in this country right now, and I do not want to take those away from Americans, because if you are relying upon programs for your survival and your way of life and feeding your family, the last thing you want to do is pull the rug out from under people. So what we're going to do is we're going to offer this $1,000 a month freedom dividend that's opt-in. But if you opt in, then you're foregoing benefits from some of these other programs. Now, many people would prefer $1,000 unconditional cash with no monitoring and no paperwork and all that stuff to their current program. So we're going to lighten the bureaucracy in those 126 programs, but we're not going to take anything away from someone if they think that their current benefits are superior to $1,000 cash.
Okay, next question from the audience. Leonard Morrill.
Thank you for coming, first of all. My question is, if you're from Medicare for All, how much do you think it would cost, and how would you pay for it?
Yes. So I've been a CEO and business person, and one of the biggest misconceptions around Medicare for All is that we don't have the money. We're spending 18% of GDP on our healthcare right now, twice as much as other industrialized countries, to worse results. And there is incredible levels of excess in the system, and we all know this, where we all know that a lot of these procedures should not be as expensive, a lot of the drugs should not be as expensive. And so what we need to do is we need to go to businesses and families and say, hey, great news, the money you're currently spending on health insurance, we're going to take that off your plate, but we're going to take some of that money for this transitional period. And the money is very, very much there. And as a CEO, I can tell you, I would love to to give that money to the government to help get that insurance off of my books, because it's not just the money, it also keeps you from hiring, it keeps you from treating people as full-time employees the way that you should. And so there's tons of money in the system, and that's one of the big misconceptions about Medicare for All. It will actually save us money, because if you have a robust public option, you can get the rates for all these procedures and drugs much, much lower very quickly.
Mr. Yang, how does Medicare for All work by age group? Would you have a sliding scale in any way? Because certain people need health care more at certain times of their lives. Is there anything in terms of access that would change depending on how old you are?
Yeah, so the easy way to implement Medicare for All is just to lower the eligibility age over time. And that's something that we would build in. We need to have a robust public option for people at every age. And the robust public option, the more people you have in it, the more effectively you can negotiate rates lower. And frankly, having young, healthy people in that pool is actually very helpful for that purpose.
Next question comes from Beth Morris.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm wondering what your primary motivation for running for office of president and how it will help our country.
Sure. So I'm running for president because we are in the third inning of the greatest economic and technological transformation in the history of our country, where Donald Trump is our president today because we automated away 4 million manufacturing jobs in Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Missouri, Iowa. This happened in New Hampshire, but it just happened decades earlier. What happened to New Hampshire in the early part of the 20th century is now happening to other parts of the country. And we're not being honest about the fact that what happened to the manufacturing workers will now happen to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, which are unfortunately the four most common jobs in the economy. So I'm running for president to wake America up to the fact that it is not immigrants that are causing economic issues around the country. It is the fact that our economy has changed in fundamental ways. And if we can understand that as a country and come together around meaningful solutions like the freedom dividend, then my run for the presidency will help move our society forward.
How did you decide that running for president would be the way to do that? Obviously, you go big or go home, right? But I mean, you decided here I'm going to go from entrepreneur to the White House.
Well, again, if you have 5 to 10 years before the robot trucks hit, only 13% of truckers are unionized, so there's no negotiation to be had. And many of these truckers own their own trucks or have these little mom and pop shops. And so imagine being a trucker and seeing this robot truck that never stops goes by and you still owe tens of thousands of dollars. We're 5 to 10 years away from that. So if you look at realistic ways to try and advance solutions, running for president was the only thing I found that had an actual chance of solving the problem. Anything else I did would be pretending to solve the problem. If I wrote a book and a white paper and just tried to whisper in people's ears, we're unfortunately way past that point as a society. We need to push our government to get with the program and actually start solving these problems, because these problems have been building up for years and decades.
And what skills do you bring to the table in terms of convincing Congress to be able to act on the agenda you would want to pass?
You know, I'm friends with many Congress people and senators, and the best of them just want to get things done. So if I become president in 2021, the Democrats and progressives will be very excited about this dividend, because it's going to put more money into the hands of families, it's going to make children stronger, it's going to improve graduation rates and mental health and physical health. And then Republicans are going to like it because it increases economic freedom and autonomy, and it's a wealth transfer from certain coastal areas to rural states and states in the interior. So we can get things done by galvanizing the American people around real solutions that will improve people's lives.
Let's get to another social media question here. This one comes from Chuck Jetty. He asks, what is your opinion of term limits for all congressional positions?
Okay, so first, we need to have term limits for Supreme Court justices yesterday. Lifetime appointments might have made sense at one point, but they make no sense now. The fact that we have to get worried if an 80-year-old justice has a health problem, I mean, that's no way to run a country. So term limits for Supreme Court justices, both parties should be able to agree on that. Now, term limits for Congress people, I like. But the fact is, if you had constant turnover in the Congress, then there'd be very little institutional knowledge. It'd be hard for new Congress people to organize all the time, and it might be harder to get things done. So if you're going to create term limits in Congress, you would want to make it a little bit longer in time, so at least there's some seniority that builds up. But I do think having people crouching in D.C. for decades is probably not good for our society.
Next question comes from the town hall member, Jennifer Cunha.
The opioid crisis has hit New Hampshire especially hard, and for the most part, children have been left out of the conversation. More and more school district, child care centers, and families are struggling to meet the growing unique needs of the growing number of children who are born with neonatal abstinence syndrome or have experienced trauma. And I'm curious your strategies and thoughts about how to address this issue.
First, let me say I think that what's happened in New Hampshire and around the country with the opiate epidemic is obscene. It's negligence on the part of the federal government, because the federal government turned a blind eye while Purdue Pharma dispensed hundreds of thousands of OxyContin prescriptions saying this is non-addictive, and then that set of prescriptions has now morphed into heroin and fentanyl, and it's killed people. 8 Americans die of overdoses every hour now. And this is a crisis, but it's a crisis that the federal government was in part to blame for. So the first thing I would do is I would go to Purdue Pharma and I'd say, hey, you made $15 billion on the backs of the American people. It's blood money. We're going to get that money back, and we're going to fund treatment. And then the federal government's going to say it is our fault, in part, that this happened, and we're going to channel all the resources that you need to at least give these kids and people in your families and communities a fighting chance. Because this is not a money problem, this is a human problem. But money should not be the obstacle, and if I'm president, it will not be.
Thank you, Jennifer. Next question comes from Aaron Fowler.
Hi. I come from a military family, and I was raised to protect the weak among us. When our hearts stop beating, we're pronounced dead. But when our hearts start beating, we're not pronounced alive. What would you do to say or change this?
Could you reframe the question? Because that sounded like something. I mean, yeah, please, if you could reframe it.
Well, when our hearts stop beating, we're pronounced dead. But when they don't start beating, we're not pronounced alive. What would you do to say or change this? It's about late-term abortion.
And this is late-term abortion. It's tied to military service.
Well, talking about how I come from a military family, I was raised to protect the weak among us. Unborn children are weak. We need to try to protect their lives.
Thank you. Thank you for the explanation. So I'm of the opinion that it should be up to women to decide reproductive rights, and that men should just leave the room. And I have a feeling I know how women would decide on reproductive issues. And so to me, it would be an issue that women should decide for themselves. I mean, in an ideal world, every unborn child would be coming into a society that's welcoming them with open arms. And I would suggest that one way to make this more of a reality would be to put $1,000 a month in the hands of every American adult so that if you are pregnant, then you have the resources available to care for that child.
Aaron, thank you. We have another social media question here, this one coming from Brian Whitaker. He asks on the potential increase of outsourcing from tech companies in regards to your proposed way to fund universal basic income. Would that have any effect on implementation? That is, the outsourcing versus the UBI?
Well, it's harder and harder for Americans to compete with people in other parts of the world because with advanced technologies, you can get a college graduate in India or China to work for $6 an hour. Something that a college graduate in the US would not be able to compete with. And that's happening more and more. And as you push those tasks abroad, you then actually find ways to automate them. So that's the progression. It goes outsource and then automation. And I had a friend who just came back from Asia, and it turns out that they're automating away the labor there too. And so this is not just an American phenomenon, this is worldwide. So outsourcing to me is something that is inevitable. You can't necessarily try and regulate it out of existence, but if there are economic benefits, then we should share in it. Like if companies are making more money from outsourcing what used to be American jobs, that would be acceptable if Americans were sharing in the value, and that's what I'm going to make happen as president.
Is there any other part of the world that has used universal basic income in a way that can show that it works?
Well, you don't even need to look at other parts of the world. Again, this has been in effect in Alaska for 37 years, which is a deeply conservative state. And in that state, it's already created thousands of jobs, improved children's health, decreased income inequality, and it's wildly popular. It was implemented by a Republican governor. And we paid for that with oil money. And what I'm saying to the American people is that technology is the oil of the 21st century, and what we're doing in Alaska for Alaskans, we can do for all Americans.
Next question comes from Olivia Zink.
I'm deeply concerned about the way our campaigns are funded. Big money donors and lobbyists have way too much influence on the way laws are made and policies are created. Would you support campaign finance at a federal level? And if so, what types of system would you propose to return our government to the people?
I love this question so much, and it is messed up how broken our way of financing elections is. And so I will say that I've raised hundreds of thousands from Americans around the country, and our average online donation is only $19. So my fans are even cheaper than Bernie's. And that's the way it should be ideally, but here's how we fix it. So I would overturn Citizens United and try and get corporate money out of politics, but that's still not going to be enough. So here's how we really fix it. As president, I will put 100 democracy dollars in the hands of every American adult that you can only give to a political candidate or campaign, and if you don't use it that year, then it disappears. So it's use it or lose it. And this, by the numbers, would enable us to wash out all the corporate money. Because then if I get 10,000 real human beings behind me, that's $1 million. It's not that I go to the people and then I have to run someplace else for the money. And as a human being, I hate calling rich people for money. If there's something that I can do to stop that, and if you get a Congress together and say, why are we all doing something we all hate? It's insane. It's bad for our country. So we pass this democracy dollars bill, and it's a huge win for the American people, and we can retake our democracy. So thank you for that question.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, but unfortunately that's all the time we have on television for Conversation with the Candidate. Coming up next week in our series will be Congressman John Delaney of Maryland, another presidential candidate. And while we're signing off on television, we want to let you know that we will be continuing this conversation on WMUR.com and on our mobile app. And there you'll find 30 more minutes of this conversation. So join us over there. Thanks for watching tonight.